My name is Rose. I want to tell you a story about my money and what I've been through because of it. Once again, I was convinced that people don't care how you succeed. Everyone only cares about the result, by which they just love to judge you. That's exactly what happened to me. I moved to a new city not so long ago. I specifically chose a location where no one knows me, not by my face, not by name. All I wanted was to relax a little, move away from my old life, just live for myself. I came to a new city with 2 spies. They were like my guardians. More simply, my parents. I hired them. You don't seem to understand anything, do you? Well, I'll tell you all that later. At the beginning of the story, I would like to share with you the sore point. Therefore, I ask you to watch the story till the end. And also make sure to like it, write comments, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. So I came to a new school, and on the first day attracted a lot of attention. It was not only that I was new, but also that I was wearing things worth over $5,000. A Dior dress, Louis Vuitton sandals, a Prada handbag. My favorite. Of course, high-quality, expensive brands caught the eyes of teachers. Some people might think that I could dress more modestly, but I made the money myself. Why shouldn't I dress the way I want? In the first minute, Jess came up to me. She's a local stinker. She's one of the richest girls in the school, but not a millionaire like me. Like most of the other kids, her parents are rich, not her. Where did you get that purse? Even my parents can't afford me one. Hello to you too. My name is Rose. You're new, and we don't like newbies around here, especially someone like you. What do you mean by someone like me? Those who love to show off? I'm not showing off. Forget it. I'm not trying to be friends with you. Then the bell rang and we went into the classroom. Everyone looked at me crookedly. Even the teachers made fun of me. She asked me where I was from, who I was, and about my parents. I made up a story that my family and I came from Florida. We have our own business, and we moved here because of my father's work. The teacher snorted and continued her lesson. Is it normal to hate students so much? I asked under my breath. Suddenly, Mrs. Nelson, sorry, but Rose called you a stinker and an old crone. I just heard it, said Jess. I was outraged. I didn't say that at all. What are you talking about? But the teacher interrupted me and sent me to the principal's office, where she scolded me in full. But I didn't say those words. I understand everything. It is, however, your first day of school, and it's hard to adapt to high school, but you should really try. Your classmates are nice. They didn't have any conflicts or any problems with behavior before you arrived, because there wasn't a reason for envy. They're all Jess's pawns. Don't be rude. It's none of your business. Your business is to join the team and not to escalate the situation. Is everything clear to you? Yes, ma'am. Slamming the door, I left the office. After a couple of lessons, at lunch in the school cafeteria, Jess and her friends came in and intentionally struck my purse as they passed, and my latest model phone fell out. The girls admired it, like, where did I get it from? It's not on sale yet, and I answered honestly. A friend did me a favor and helped me to get it. Jess asked with clear envy, "What's his name?" I said, "Dustin." "Why?" And Jess asked again, "What did you give him in return?" Don't tell me you gifted him yourself, because that money wouldn't even be enough for milk. Are you saying I'm not good enough? It's obvious, because the more money you have, the less reason there is to brag. My boobs are natural, by the way. Not just yours. We all have natural boobs. Oh, I'm getting bored. I'm gonna eat. That stinker made me angry. But what really pissed me off was that she was manipulating the other girls. Everyone was against me. They were jealous of my money, and no one ever tried to get to know me better. Every day at the school turned into a race for expensive things. Jess and I wore things and accessories more and more expensive to spite each other. Rumors began to spread around the school, and even the teachers began to talk. A week later, the tires of my car punctured, and a day later, the body was scratched. These students hated me because I was rich, but no one even bothered to ask me where I got it all. When I flew to New York, my so-called parents were staying at home. I arrived 4 days later and found a crowd of classmates at home. It took me by surprise. What are you all doing here? We came to check on you. You didn't show up at school. We got worried. And your parents are very nice, but they don't know anything about you. Admit it. How did you get so much money? Are you sleeping with someone? With whom? There's only one rich man in town, and that's my father. I knew that you had a grudge against me, you perv. Are you going out with him? Admit it. Everyone was staring at me silently and waiting for an answer. They were sure that I earned the money illegally by prostitution. Well, you understand. Well, at least I understood everything. Are you serious right now? You think I know your father? I think yes. And where did you get all this stuff from? If these people aren't your parents and you're rich? Do you want to know where I come from and why I'm rich? Okay, I'll tell you. And then my real story began. The story of an orphan girl who ran away from an orphanage at an early age, who slept on garbage cans and shared food with homeless people. It's all me. Are you surprised? I had a difficult childhood. My mother left me at the gates of an orphanage. My father left when I was just born. In the orphanage, I was taught to be strong, to talk about myself, to be humble, but most importantly, never give up for anything. I won't talk about the hatred and cruelty I went through in the orphanage, but I ran away from there and it was the best decision of my life. A year later, I met a man, Dustin, who is much older than me, and he began to help me as if I were his own daughter. It was Dustin who saved me from starvation, gave me shelter, and took care of me. His daughter was my age, but she died of measles, and then he met me. At that time, Dustin was a writer. He taught me everything, and after 6 years, I published my first book. My name is Rosalie Montgomery Gilbert, and I'm a writer known as the youngest author of a detective novel. I received my first $1 million fee 3 years ago, and writing has been my main source of income ever since. My so-called parents are undercover guardians. They handle contracts, deals, purchases, and so on, because I'm too young for that. Any more questions? I asked very loudly. My voice made Jess jump on the couch. There was silence in the room, and then my fake mom asked if we would like to offer the guests anything. I ordered dinner to be served. At first, Jess broke down. It was obvious that she was embarrassed because she'd been silent for 1.5 hours. Jess, do you have any more questions? I'd rather answer than have you accuse me of having an affair with your father, whom I've never met in my life. I'm sorry, Julie. I convinced the girls against you. It wasn't fair and it was very mean. I'm sorry for what happened. I'm really sorry. Please forgive me. You know, girls, I came to the city to take a little break from popularity, to gain inspiration for a new novel. I thought it would be the perfect place to reboot. But this month, I've had so much negativity here. It's like nostalgia from the orphanage, but here it's even worse. It was all Jess. She told us that you were her father's mistress, and we began to hate you along with her. You're all so rich and beautiful, and please forgive us. I didn't want to fight them because it was pointless. The girls promised that they would not reveal my identity as long as I lived here. Because I didn't want to move to another place yet, I just settled in and unloaded all the stuff from my boxes. The girls noticeably changed their attitudes. Now they even tried to talk to me and came to my house more often. I showed them photos from different cities, outfits, and even photos of my shelter. About Jess, her personal problems remain personal. I don't like interference in other people's business. I know my own limits and boundaries, hence I expect the same from others, because this problem can easily destroy innocent girls' lives. Yes. In a family with more than one child, there is always one child more beautiful and the other smarter. In my case with my twin sister, she is smart and you understand. And that was the whole reason for our conflicts for so many years. Who said that twins are the same? Now I will tell you how it went with our family. My name is Ashley, and my sister is Kate. She was born 10 minutes older than me, but I'm taller than her. My mother was very happy when she found out that she was going to have twin girls, because she herself always wanted to have a sister. She imagined that if she had a sister, she would be closer to her than any friend. They'd always protect each other, hold on to each other, and keep secrets, help each other. This is exactly what she thought would happen to Kate and I, but it turned out to be exactly the opposite. How did this happen? Everything started from childhood. My sister and I were always very different. We hated it when my mother dressed us in the same hats, dresses, and boots. We even chose the most contrasting things on purpose. But my mother thought it was cute when two girls were walking down the street in beautiful outfits and everyone was looking at them. No, and no again. And anyway, who said it was beautiful? And secondly, I could argue with my mother's taste. Kate didn't really mind what clothes my mother bought, but I loved a different style, so I always chose something else. At first, my mother argued with me, buying only what she liked, but then we grew up and were given the right to choose. Oh, that was the happiest moment of my life. So, as I said, Kate is a smart girl. She always managed to do her homework faster and better. She literally clicked on new topics, foreign languages, but I could only do this at a stretch. It was humiliating for me to ask her to help me, so my mother helped me. Kate was mean about it, but in the end, I just stupidly copied her completed assignments and that was it. But when we went shopping, Kate was the one who was lost. She had no idea what to combine with what, how to choose a handbag for an outfit or shoes, and what is generally on trend now. Then my mother pushed me to choose something for my sister. I didn't want to because she refused to help me with homework, so Kate stupidly just chose the same things I did. Ugh, she knew exactly how angry it made me. Although, I don't know, maybe it was revenge for the fact that I constantly copied from her. In general, so we lived, in an eternal struggle for the title of the most beautiful or the most smart. When we got older, we went to college, and we both got scholarships. She was a good student, and I was a cheerleader at school. We went to different universities, and then our fates diverged. We came home to visit at different times, so as not to argue. My father and mother tried to persuade us to come together, but it was useless. And then what happened? My appearance blossomed every year, and soon I was invited to join a modeling agency, where I achieved success as a model. My pictures hung on the banners of billboards all over the city. I advertised sports shoes and clothing. I was treated with respect at college, and I was proud of myself at home. After a while, I learned from my mother that Kate won some kind of intellectual competition, becoming the first female winner in the field of robotics. And every year, we both achieved more and more success. But it seemed that even at a distance, we managed to compete. I still didn't want to see her, which is sad. Then my father called me. He said that my mother was very ill and she wanted to see me. I went home on the first flight, and when I ran into the hospital, I saw Kate there. We just looked at each other, and then I hugged my mom. It turns out that she broke her leg and did not want to tell us. My sister and I cried, but then we went to the doctor to talk about the cost of the operation. It was a good thing we both had money. We paid for everything, and then we went to the cafeteria for coffee. Kate was as silent as I was, and then she asked me how I was doing. I talked about myself, she talked about herself, and every step of success was spoken with special pride, both on her side and mine. We didn't notice how our tones raised, and it already seemed like an argument, not just a conversation. Bragging? You've always been like this. Always bragging to me that you are better, more beautiful than me? My sister shouted after 10 minutes. I stood over the table and yelled back that she thought she was the smartest. We remembered all the situations when we tried to humiliate each other. Then we were kicked out onto the street, where we continued the argument, and then suddenly my father came out. Not here! Aren't you ashamed of yourselves? Arguing about nonsense, even though you were almost college graduates? How can you not understand that we have always loved and been proud of you in the same way? Yes, one of you achieved success thanks to your appearance, but the other has the best brains. You're sisters, damn it, so stay that way. He shouted at us. We fell into silence, and then we realized that we actually were ashamed. Both of us. My father escorted us inside, and we continued the conversation. I started first, honestly told her that I always envied her brains, that I also wanted to be smart, but I couldn't do it. And if it's worth putting on a little makeup to look good, then it won't work that way with my brain, I told my sister. She was silent for a moment, and then admitted that she was also jealous of me. More precisely, of my appearance. We are twins, and if one is more beautiful than the other, it is super noticeable against the background of any successful project. And no, clothes and makeup didn't help for me, she said, and we both started to cry. It was only at that moment, after all these years, that we finally realized that we weren't competing with each other all these years, but were complementing each other. And if we had stuck together, we would have been even more successful. That's when we decided to teach each other some of our own secrets. Since then, a year has passed. My mother has recovered, and Kate and I communicate every day and ask each other for advice. I am the clothing consultant, and she teaches me how to write contracts, schedules, and how to solve financial issues during filming. And why didn't we realize this before? 2 heads are better than 1.